Hey everyone, and welcome to
Hello.
VYTALCast. And we got Sunny, dude. Right when I
Hi.
hit, right when I hit stream, I forgot to turn on the desktop sound, but I hit it right before you talked. So
Oh, okay,
it
good.
was like I made sure you were cropped correctly, but oh no, we almost couldn't
hmm
heard you. I had that mistake like a few like last week or so. I was doing some sort of gaming stream, and people couldn't hear who I was gaming with till like an hour into the stream, and that was embarrassing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That sucks.
yeah. I blame Discord for that because Discord was acting weird. So
Mm.
plus it was Destiny 2, and Destiny 2 is just weird. And Larissa is still messaging me. Okay, she said have fun. Okay, okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hey. Okay. Yeah. Yes. VitalCast is back. Okay, so I want to explain why VitalCast was gone last week. Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars. This is the reason why we didn't have it. Uh, Sunny and I were both seeing Star Wars at times that would have been contradicting with VitalCast. We tried to do it on Thursday, but I was also seeing it Thursday night at midnight, and then my cousin decided to come over super early, and then in some sort of mess was like, "Hey, let's make a Luke Skywalker costume." A few hours before the showing, and so it was like a rush of us like taking what we had and trying to make me look like Luke. It failed miserably, hence no
Aw.
pictures. Um, like I still dressed as it, but it was like, oh man, if it wasn't for him dressing up as a just as crappy Kylo Ren, uh, I wouldn't have gone through with it.
Mm. I mean, also, we, tried to make plans to do Vitalcast on, Saturday or Sunday, but it just never happened.
Yeah, yeah,
Rip.
my life's just been all over the place.
Yeah, me too.
Sunday is just not a good day for me anymore for streaming
Mm.
because now I work at a music studio now, and they've been having me come over on Sunday around the time I want to stream to do their streaming. So it's like, oh, this is experience in the industry I'm trying to go into and will look really good on my resume if I ever apply to Rooster Teeth. So I've been prioritizing that, and
Yeah, it
then
sounds like a really cool thing you get to do.
dude, I got promoted last Sunday. That was like the
Yay.
best part. Okay, I don't know if I tweeted about that, but so basically, for those who don't know, I'm sorry. We'll get to Ruby. I promise we'll get to Ruby. So what I do at this music studio is on Sunday they do live shows. It's mostly like so far it's been like music Christmas slash gospel concerts, and I am one of the cameramen for it. And apparently, I am the best cameraman he's ever had, even though he's had like people from film production schools that have graduated from these like fancy colleges and universities. And he's like, yeah, for whatever reason, you are better than they are. Like, apparently, I'm just
Wow.
enough different that he really likes it. And so it's kind of stuff. Imagine if you've seen the Rooster Teeth podcast, it's pretty much the same thing that they're doing, if not slightly more complicated with camera work, other than they're using a much fancier camera. Uh, because my people walk and move around, whereas most of them, for the most part, are just focusing on the people sitting on couches. But on Sunday after that concert, he promoted me to head of video production. That won't really be
Nice.
going into effect till like January, mid January or
Mm.
so. And basically, what that will be doing is he's bringing in three new people just for me to be in charge of. And I'm in charge of like teaching them how to like use the cameras and make everything look good. But then also, he has some big video production stuff that will be live stream and not live stream that I will be kind of like head of making sure that all looks good and working together with the studio manager on having those productions go smoothly. So it's a lot
That
of
sounds
cool
really
work.
cool.
Yeah, it
Like,
is really cool. I I like it a lot. So sorry guys, I haven't been like super active with stuff. And so because of that, I actually haven't even touched editing on my chapter 10 reaction. So sorry that's going to be late. And actually considering it's Christmas weekend, you probably won't see it till like this time next week, I think. So anyway, that it's all good experience, and because I want to work at Rooster Teeth someday, this is like perfect experience for me on doing that, especially since it's Gaynor Bernard who is the studio owner and manager, and he's known around the world, and he's worked with like Madonna, and I think he helped record Lindsey Sterling's first album,
That's awesome.
or a few singles at least. So yeah, uh, it's awesome. Anyway, enough about me. Let's get on about chapter 10. So, and also thank you chat for being so active and saying you miss us and all that, because I was having a real self like confidence with YouTube problem last night that kept me up till 5 in the morning. Anyway, chapter 10, obviously I say like with chapter 10, I think volume 5 as a whole has been like Blake's volume.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like it's been great mostly for Blake, or it's been putting Blake in a better light, although there are still people that hate Blake since volume 1, and I question those people. But like some people, like I had to unfollow someone because they hated Blake so much, and I was like, leave her alone. Like I tried to get her to say one nice thing about Blake, and she's like, I like her outfits, and I'm like, that's the only thing you could compliment about Blake? Not that she stands up for like rights of Faunus and like people and like equality, and it's like, which is kind of weird because the person that hates Blake stands up for that stuff so much. So I thought that would have been the thing they complimented, but no, it's the outfits. So
yeah, I don't know. Like you said, it's Blake's volume, and I mean, basically all the action has been mostly with Blake. Like I feel like all the stuff with Ranger, they've been sitting around the house just talking. It's so
the
like,
big thing with
get on with it.
yeah, so far the big thing with Ranger is like Yang coming back. And so it's like,
and Weiss.
Yeah, I forgot Weiss. Gosh, but yeah, we have Rui together, and that's been like the big thing. But then, as like a consequence of that, is like getting Weiss and Yang on the same page as Ranger, and so that kind of became like recap. It became like Ruby Rewind inside of Ruby. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's had nice character bonding moments, so I've let it slide. Except for chapter 9 was kind of odd with pacing and like having stuff happen.
Chapter 9 wasn't my favorite.
Chapter 9, it's weird. It kind of feels like the whole fandom was kind of united on like, yeah, that wasn't the best chapter we've ever had. So,
because I mean, I feel like in the middle of the season, in the middle of the volume, it's just a lot of build up to the finale. So like in the middle, we're not going to get a lot of action except with Blake. Like Blake was really awesome.
Yeah, like like that was like the big thing was like Ilya being like, no, I am willing to kill your family for the sake of my cause, and it's like, oh my gosh, and then 3 seconds later, we hit chapter 10, and she's like, just kidding, I changed my mind. So, yeah, how did you feel about the thing that happened with Blake? I mean, Ilya. I meant to say Ilya.
You mean like Ilya changing her mind?
Yeah, changing her mind, like how all that went on.
Okay, to be honest, I meant to rewatch the episode today, but I forgot, so if I leave something out, I'm sorry in advance. But, I don't know, it was just, like, I guess it was nice that they didn't give up on her, because obviously Blake and Ilya knew each other for a long time, so Blake would want to, like, have her friend back, and, so I don't know, that part was really nice, and I know we talked a lot about how, at this point, we're like, oh, Ilya's not redeemable anymore.
Well, she was losing chances, is what I was saying, yeah.
And I feel like the way she kind of like got redeemed by just being like, okay, I'm sorry, like just I'll stop and everything that happened. I felt it was kind of like not enough, but I still
It
liked it anyway.
Yeah, it really reminds me of Darth Vader suddenly just picking up Sidious and throwing him down a chute. It was like very last minute, very uh rushed, as Hunt SD said.
Yeah, rushed.
But I was like, yay! I actually have a reason to like her as a person and not just a character now. And
Yeah, she was really likable as a character, except like sometimes I thought she was annoying for being like, there's no other way. But
it
like,
was like,
I
Ilya,
don't know.
chill.
Yeah, it's like now I like her as a character, and also like as a person, she realized like she could have done something terribly wrong, and she kind
Yeah.
of like just realized what she was doing was wrong and stopped. But it was still rushed, so I was like, I felt like that could have been done a little better.
Yeah, well, also like immediately Blake and Sun were like, we're cool. You know, like
Yeah,
although Sun had like a really great line that I liked. He was like, "You stabbed me." Like like I like how
yeah.
he brought that up. I'm like, yeah, that seems like something Sun would say. Like Sun's actually been really great this volume. I think
Yeah, I liked him with Gira when Gira was like, "Shut up," and he was like, "You got it, sir," and they started fighting. Like that was
yeah.
funny.
Also, something people are probably gonna really hate about my reaction because uh, I I think his gunchucks were like a blink and you missed it moment because
It was
I
pretty fast. Yeah.
I didn't like see it at all in the episode, and like I talked about it a lot. I'm like, where are the gunchucks? Where are the gunchucks? And it was like obviously after the gunchucks have already happened.
Yeah.
And so Twitter was like, "Oh, we got to see gunchucks." Whereas me, while watching the episode, are like, "Where are the gunchucks? I don't see them." Carrie, you lied. So,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, Carrie.
yeah, because Carrie Carrie posted that GIF of like people who want to
Hmm.
see the gunchucks. So I'm like,
Oh, did you see
uh,
that video of that guy like doing the choreography with like they,
"Oh
yeah, did you
yeah,
see that?
where he reenacted
Yeah,
Sun's
from
fight with
volume
Cinder.
one.
Yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
like, dude, that was so good. I was so impressed.
Dude, I'm like, have that guy do the motion capping for crying out loud. That was amazing. like, uh, and also, the combat in that episode was really good. Like, everything I
Mm.
complained about in last VYTALcast, they fixed for the most part. It actually had rhythm and good choreography. I was like, yes, thank you,
Yeah,
thank you,
I
thank you.
definitely should. Like, I should have rewatched the episode at some point today because like I can't really comment on it because I don't remember exactly what the choreography looked like. But
Yeah.
I take your word for it.
Yeah. Well, I was just watching. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's rhythm and pattern in this choreography. Like, it's going da 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 da. Like, I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then like 3 seconds later, Gira did something. I was like, up, and it's gone. And then it like got back. But I think Gira's style, I'm just not used to like watching a whole lot because
Mm,
because when I was watching it again, I did sort of see what his rhythm and pattern was. So I was like, oh, okay, first time watching it, I just didn't realize it because his movements are a lot slower and more fluid rather than pattern, if that makes
mm.
sense. So, yeah. Let's see. Hunt SD says Corsac and Phoenix fighting style was odd. It felt rushed and head forward. Yeah, they were all right, but
Mm.
you know, wait, was it Finnick or Corsac that got squashed by stairs?
I was just about to ask you that because honestly, I don't remember. Are we assuming that one's dead? Like, I don't.
Yeah, they pretty much said he died, or
Okay,
Kira did.
I should have rewatched the episode because I don't remember.
Yeah, because the police ran up to Kira. They're like, "Oh, sorry, sir, we would have got here earlier." And he was like, "Oh, well, there's a few in there and a dead guy." Okay, so Finnick died. Darn, Finnick was the one I liked out of the two. There's
Yeah, I like Phoenix
it
too.
was weird. Like Corsac, I didn't care so much about, but like Finnick, I
Yeah.
was like, if you killed off Corsac, I wouldn't mind. But Finnick, I'm like, oh, okay. uh,
Inspector Who says, "Oh yeah, he exploded." Okay, I don't think he
did
exploded.
he? No, I think he just got
No,
squashed by
he got
stairs.
crushed.
Yeah, he just got crushed. He blew up somehow. Uh, I'm gonna have to rewatch that because I did not
Yeah,
think
I
of an
don't not.
explosion.
Yeah, I
If
don't remember him
anything,
exploding.
if anything, that was just like flames coming up from the fire.
Cause
You
the
know?
house, yeah, the house was on fire. Like,
Yeah, maybe it was like house fire physics and not so much he had like TNT in his stomach physics.
mm.
Um, I mean, I could probably use the excuse of he if he had his weapon with him, then the dust inside his weapon exploded from the heat.
Oh yeah,
So,
maybe.
oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
okay. Corsic has the tail. Yeah, because the person they were arresting did not have the ears. So yeah,
yeah,
that was
because
Corsic.
Fennec, he was Fennec because he had ears like a Fennec fox, and Corsac had the wolf tail. So that's how I always remembered it.
Yeah, yeah. Like I knew Finnick had like the ears. Finnick just reminds me. I mean, just the name Finnick makes me think of fox, and he was a fox
Hmm.
faunus, or at least a
Yeah.
coyote, fox or coyote, but I think it was a fox. Uh, Also, so volume 10, I mean chapter 10. Chapter 10.
Volume 10.
I'm
Oh boy.
guys, I you're all in 2017. I'm in the year 3000 though. So the chapter 10 had both a lot of good stuff, but then also some stuff that I felt meh, like I felt like we could have had more, or I guess I'm just putting it as like finale standards, and it's not the
Mm.
finale, which is kind of unfair for me to do. But it it felt like any of the high stakes that Chapter 9 did set up at the end, we didn't even have to worry about them at all. They all got quickly brushed aside in Chapter 10. I mean,
Mm.
so
Are you talking about like with the Belladonnas?
yeah, with the Belladonnas.
Mm.
So like, oh no, the Belladonnas are in danger. It looked like Callie was gonna die, or someone was gonna die, but then everything was quickly fixed. You know, like even
Yeah.
Blake's fight with Ilya was super short. A lot of the fighting was super short. I think the fighting was what made me feel a little bit cheated as well. But considering they
Hmm.
fixed choreography, I'm like, hey, I'd rather have fixed choreography than a long drawn out fight with not so good choreography. So,
Yeah, because I don't know. I think it's evolved to where it's not like big fight scenes. It's like, oh, people like fight a little bit and then they talk and yell at each other and then they might fight a little bit more.
yeah, if anything, I expected once Blake set the house on fire, for since she set like the roof and a wall on fire, I expected like tiles to be falling down from the top, or like a pillar falling
Hmm.
over, to have a bit
Yeah.
of a elemental environmental element, but that
Hmm.
didn't happen. But it was kind of interesting, and you know Cal, we
Yeah.
so she had a video come out last night. I think it was last night or sometime yesterday. She apparently saw a forum on both Reddit and the Rooster Teeth site, kind of posing the question: is Kruby scared of fight scenes or combat scenes?
Mm.
Because it seems like for Volume 5, or Volume 5 and Bixby, I never said anything remotely like, okay, my phone voice activated. Um, uh, it seemed like they were shying away from combat, but I think it was just they set up from a production thing. I think they planned the fight scenes way ahead of time, and they've been just working and smoothing out the combat scenes throughout the whole time that they've
Hmm.
been making this volume, and
Yeah.
therefore they've had like less combat scenes because they're focusing more on the end of volume fight scenes. Because I think Cinder versus Pyrrha was in works when like chapter 1 of volume 3 came out. Like that was a long process.
Yeah, like if you have something that intense, they gotta work on it for a while.
Yeah, so and that's kind of what the conclusion that her and Hunter came to in the video. I kind of wish they read a little bit more straight from the forums that they were talking about, because they really
Hmm.
just said, "Oh, people said they're scared," and they didn't pose any reason other than, "Oh, well, it seems like Volume 5 has, for the most part, stayed away from combat and had more talking scenes, especially with Team Ranger." But
Hmm.
Team Ranger hasn't really been thrown into combat at all. I expect that would be Chapter 11, which comes out next Saturday, not tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. Like I understand that if they want to put a whole bunch of time and resource into like epic end of volume scenes, but it gets a little frustrating when the whole entire middle of the volume is talking or like really short and cut up fight scenes. Like I don't want to be needy or anything like that, but it's like if we have 4 episodes in a row where almost nothing happens, it's like that's disappointing.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually so last night I mentioned like, or I mentioned that last night I was having like some YouTube self confidence issues, and part of that was also doing with like, man, if I really think about it, and honestly, keep in mind this opinion is not set in stone because the volume is not done yet. But I'm like, man, I would place this under volume 1 as like where I stack my Ruby volumes. I think volume 4 was actually very well with like the amount of story they gave us because everyone had their own arc that lasted the whole volume, which meant like every scene that we had something in it. There was less filler, whereas this had more filler, less stuff. But we still have like 40 minutes left of content, as Inspector Who says. And also, Xbox Kid, I remember you. You subscribed near the end of one of my streams because I read out your comments and that made you happy. I remember that. I don't think we can judge the pacing of the volume until we see the whole thing. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying, was like, Volume 5's not done, so it's not fair to have like a final opinion. Like, even Volume 4, I'm still not sure where I place that in my stack of volumes. So,
yeah, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on pacing per se right now. Yeah. It's just like it's that mid-volume slump. I feel like that's always been there.
Yeah, mid-volume slumps. I could agree with. And El Chupacabra 06 says quality over quantity. And Volume 5 has definitely succeeded with that in the combat sense. I would say that. It's just there's like a few conversations with Ranger I think we've seen a few times, like more than once. Because it was like, yeah, you say you go. No, you go.
I agree, quality over quantity, and I'm not saying like this volume is bad. I actually like really like this volume. It's just the talking and talking over and over again. That's just when I get annoyed.
Yeah, and also not to say like if we put it lower in our stack does not mean it's not enjoyable, because we all watched Ruby Volume 1, which I think a lot of people said, yeah, Ruby Volume 1 was the volume that needed the most fixing.
Yeah.
That and Volume 2, but it was like...
I mean, they had like a really small crew then. Like, after Volume 2, it really jumped up.
Yeah. So, yeah, and as Verif says, talking is underrated. And Ruby now, at least with Volume 5, they've been doing really well with their communication scenes and like having them more interesting and like cinematic stuff. It was just, once we hit Volume 9, I think there was a conversation in it that the audience... 9. Did I say Volume 9?
You said Volume 9.
I meant Chapter 9. Forgive me, Lord, for I have sinned. There was like a conversation in Chapter 9. I can't really remember. It had to do with like Crow, Ozpin, and Ranger talking about Salem or the Maidens. And it was like information that the audience has already heard about like 3 times. And I was like, guys, come on, bring something new. But... it doesn't mean it's any less entertaining. It's going to be very interesting to watch it as a whole. Episodically, it's not a problem, but once it comes to, when you have the whole volume, I wonder how watching all the way through that would work.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and like, like Ruby having character development. That was actually a really great scene, and like a scene that I really loved. It was just, whether you're like, beginning of Volume 5, Crow and Oscar had to re-explain the Oscar situation to Team Ranger and then bring up the Maidens. And then Yang and Weiss came. Same conversation all over again. And then it was like Chapter 9, they had like another similar conversation. And then it was even in Chapter 10, they had another similar conversation about the relics. But it had a few new stuff in it, like, oh, we think Lionheart, it might not be on our side and we expect an ambush, so we're going to proceed carefully. And then there was like the question of, no, the cane is not a relic, which was really good. Kind of like Star Wars striking down some fan theories. Yeah. So I like the volume. Like, don't get me wrong. I like the volume. I think I like the volume most when I'm watching it. When I'm not watching it, then I'm more critical about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I kind of feel the same way because like when I'm not watching a new episode and getting like a bunch of new great things to look at, then I'm like, talking blah 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 blah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Like, obviously, in my reaction videos, I am enjoying the episode, with a bit of the exception of my chapter 9 reaction, because there was like some stuff I like called out in chapter 9 reaction. I was like, guys, come on. But then I was very happy to see like I wasn't the only one like that, so I was like, okay, thanks. But okay, El Chupacabra is saying, I believe for those who binge watch Volume 5, it will hold up as an excellent volume. Yeah, it's a good volume.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, like I said, just because I personally do not know where it ranks, and sometimes when I'm not watching it, I feel like maybe be lower on the list. Doesn't mean it will be on the lower end of the list, and does not mean I think it is bad. Like, take this as a guy who enjoys the prequels for Star Wars. Like, people usually don't like the prequels, but I'm like, I like them. I agree with a lot of the criticisms, but I still enjoy them as a movie. So, oh, Nikolai is saying, anyone else was screaming to Ruby, ask him about the Silver Eyes girl? Yeah, Silver Eyes.
We need more of that. Like,
like, I hope that is brought up in chapter 11, because it's honestly like, what activates them, and like, what necessarily do they do, and like, why are there people with silver eyes? You know, like, is it another Ozpin related thing like the maidens were? It's like, I would hate for like something terrible to happen during the attack on Haven, and then Ruby just like accidentally team kills with silver eyes or something.
Oh my
like
God.
like, it's like, guys, she needs to know how to use these things, and it's been emphasized a lot that it's very important, but so far the silver eyes have just been seen as like an ex machina for her to escape Cinder in volume 3.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, we knew there was something special about them the entire time, but it's like, at that point, it's like, oh, she got really upset and it just happened. Like, how else was Ruby gonna get out of that situation when she showed up? Like,
yeah, okay. They said that's dark. I'm like, yeah, sorry. You know, I'm just jumping to worst case scenario, just so when something bad does happen, it's like, well, I thought of something worse, so I'm not that bothered. Um, and and also, guys, if you look at like Brandon Dodge's ranking of the volumes, I think that's pretty accurate to how I'm feeling right now. 3, 2, 5, 4, and then 1. Except for 5 and 4 could easily switch places for me. I'm not too sure.
I don't know. I really liked Volume 3. I think that might be my favorite, but I'm not gonna judge until Volume 5 finishes.
Yeah. Okay, so Inspector Who reacts as Chapter 11 is most likely going to start of the battle or the ambush. I think it's going to be the ambush. And I think
how do you think it's gonna go? Like, this whole thing?
I think at first it's gonna be Crow walking in to like Lionheart's office. They talk. Crow is gonna try to lead the conversation to Lionheart revealing it or something, or Raven is gonna jump in and try to do the ambush with all of them. But then Crow's gonna be like, aha, we expected this. And then Team Ranger and Yang and Weiss jump in, and like then there's a big combat fight in the office. And then shortly after that fight, then White Fang starts marching in or whatever. And then I expect like, have you seen Lord of the Rings?
No.
Okay. I was gonna.
I do get some references, so you can talk about it if you want.
In the Two Towers, there's this big fight near the end of the movie called the Battle of Helm's Deep, and basically it's a 3-day long battle where they're just trying to hold the fortress. And I think the Battle of Haven is going to be kind of like that. It's basically like a small army of 300 fighting against 10,000 soldiers that are like steroids. And then on the third day, Gandalf comes and he had brought in like reinforcements, which was like all the nation's strongest men who were banished by the king when he was like corrupted, and they just come swoop down and save the day. And I think that's kind of how this fight is going to go. Is it's going to be kind of long and drawn out just a bit, like a couple of episodes, and then Blake and all the Faunus from Menagerie come swooping in for the rescue just when it seems like all hope was lost. That's my prediction. So,
have you seen Game of Thrones?
Yes.
It's kind of like that battle when Sansa goes to get all the army from Baelish while Jon Snow's like they're all dying.
Oh no, I'm not that far.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just barely started season 5.
Oh.
Yeah, but I did know those characters reunited. Okay. But it's like
I
know
said
of the
you
battle.
Watched it, so I didn't know what to say.
Are you talking about the Battle of the Bastards? Was it that?
Yes.
When they fight against the guy that's really terrible and tortures people? Yeah, that guy? Okay, yeah. I know of the battle you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just like that, like, all of a sudden, like, a new army shows up.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, someone came in with reinforcements last minute to save the day. And, man, I need to catch up on that show. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to read a few of the comments. Brandon Dodge says, although 2 and 5 are tied as my second favorite volume so far, with 2 just barely getting the edge because it has one of the most perfect balance of action and dialogue out of all the volumes. I agree with that. I like that a lot. Also, a lot of the fights in volume 2 are my favorite fights in the series. Like, when they fight Roman in the mech, and then also Yang versus Neo. Yang versus Neo, and also the food fight. Like, oh, yeah. I love sharing the food fight with people. Like, I'm like, guys, this is like the best food fight in history.
Yeah. I don't know. I really like Volume 4 was definitely not my favorite, but I really like the new animation because I think if I compare Volumes 1 and 2, even compare those to Volume 3, I feel like the visuals were just so much better Volume 3 and onward that, like, Volumes 1 and 2, like, they had good fight scenes and all that good stuff, but, like, if I'm thinking about visuals, like, 1 and 2 are at the bottom of my ranking.
No, I totally agree with that, actually. Volume 3 was actually the first volume where you're like, wow, this is super pretty to look at.
Yeah, it actually looked really nice.
Yeah, like the scene with like Ruby at her mom's grave was like so beautiful. Like I shed tears. Like, oh my gosh, this looks like a painting. However, I also kind of liked the cheekiness of volumes 1 and 2 because you could still tell there was like a lot of passion. Like you could tell it was a handful of people just pouring all their passion into this project.
Yeah.
And now it just feels more like a production full of passion and love. Don't get me wrong, like I know Ruby myself and they love Ruby to death, and they want to make it as best as they could, which is also kind of what makes criticizing the show a little hard for me sometimes, because it's like, guys, I'm not meaning this as an insult. If anything, I blame your boss. But yeah, I really liked it. I think volume 3 was like the perfect mix of like good combat and good dialogue cinematic scenes.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like it had all the great camera work. Like that's something that the current Kruby is nailing, is just having everything look like cinematically and like looking good.
Everything looks so nice.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And it's just like, man, but I loved it in Poser. Like, because it just felt more unique looking, I guess. I don't know. Like, I liked the little cheeky things at Poser. And with it switching out of that, I don't mind it being in Maya. It's just, sometimes I watch the older Rubies, I'm like, I miss this. But then at the same time, I'll go back to, like, Volume 4 and 5, I'm like, this is so pretty. So,
yeah.
You know, yeah, it's just interesting for me when it comes to that. But
it's kind of like you said a minute ago, like the first couple were like this small group putting like all their passion Ruby, and then now you have like a bigger group. And I think Volume 3 is, since technically Volume 3 is like in the middle of what we have right now, just about, like you can kind of sense it transitioning from a small group of people working really hard on this like cool project to like a whole big team working on this big production.
Yeah.
And it's like they both have good things about it, but there's just some stuff you don't get in this like big production. Like you don't get the same feel in this big production as you did in this like passion project. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Like but volumes 1 and 2, like it was also just like the tone of the story in it as well. I think it was very lighthearted and like cheeky and funny, whereas now we're getting more to like serious stuff, and like that sliding in more cheeky or funny stuff is harder to do now just because of the direction stuff is going.
Yeah, and I mean, they basically said that like the first 3 volumes were just basically like the beginning of the beginning, right?
Yeah,
So
they're
it's
the
like
prologue.
there's just so much
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, those were like the prologue. I'm like, oh boy. Like, someone was telling it, I think it might have been Brandon Dodge or Hunt SD, saying that Ruby's been planned to go for 20 volumes, which,
Yeah, I've heard that number thrown around.
yeah, I've heard it thrown around, but for some reason for me, I was thinking more closer around 15, but 20 sounds better. I just want more Ruby.
Yeah.
So, but also, like, I could see from, I don't think Haven's gonna fall, because I could see if it did fall, that just quickens up the pace towards like the end, story and narrative wise, because then it's like, oh, the big bad is more in power. She has more power, which means everyone has more of a reason to unite right now and go fight against that. So
I don't know. Do you think like defeating Salem is like Ruby endgame? Because I don't see this stuff with Salem going on for like 10 more volumes unless there's like some drastic changes. Like I feel like it might last a few more volumes, but like I don't see Salem being the ultimate bad guy for the entire rest of Ruby.
yeah, which is what I'm like really wondering. Yeah, because I agree with that. Like if Haven falls, or even if Haven is saved, I could see it lasting around 10 volumes, and so I'm just like, what's going on? But it could take the Persona route, and it goes, okay, we took down a big bad, but now we find out there's literally God behind that guy, and we're gonna take down God. And with the two brothers, they could easily bring in and escalate it to this huge fight against the brother that was like all about destruction and all of that. And it's like, oh, Salem might have been like his follower and believer, and like, but like, and you thought that was bad, but it gets so much worse after that. I could see that. So, or maybe Cinder has a mutiny and takes down Salem, and then is like worse than Salem somehow, just because she's less strategy but more gun-ho, I guess. Because it seems like other people have been holding her back.
Yeah, that reminds me, just like, sorry, this is kind of random but kind of related, I guess. I need more Emerald and Mercury. Like, I hope they show up more in the later part of this volume, and like I especially want to see if they flesh out Emerald's like she's not totally into the whole bad guy thing. Like basically what people are speculating ever since she was like, oh, this is sad.
Yeah, I definitely think they'll be part of the ambush, because I think the ambush, if I'm getting this correctly, the ambush team will be Raven, Cinder, Mercury, and Emerald. And maybe Watts. But I don't see Watts so much as a fighter as like a negotiator and like strategist.
Yeah.
So I don't see him like actually getting his hands dirty. And since he like builds tech, I could also see him being like the weapon supplier.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and in the opening we have Yang fighting Mercury, so I hope we get that.
Oh yes, I need a take 2, because like in volume 3, Mercury's defeat was like planned.
Yeah.
So it's like, crap, is he actually able to beat her if he didn't hold back and wasn't like, okay, I have to throw this fight in order to make all the Grimm come here. So I'm stressing out now. And also, because if Tadros said something that's interesting, he said if there's a big bad other than Salem, he's out. Which, uh, I could see where he's feeling because I felt the same with like Orochimaru and Naruto. Like it seemed like Orochimaru was the big bad, but then it led to be like the Akutsuki, and then like it grew bigger to be eventually, ironically enough, a god that they fight at the end of Naruto, and that was like the final boss. So,
And I mean, haven't they said that there were plans to like Ruby go so far as to show when Team Ruby is literally adults, like full adults, right?
yeah, that was actually
So,
mentioned by Hunt ST or Brandon Dodge in my Discord when I was
okay.
mentioning the 20
Yeah.
volumes.
Like I don't see like okay, we don't know exactly how powerful Salem is. Like we basically know nothing about her power. We just know she's like some evil, weird-looking lady that controls a bunch of good fighters. Like we don't know exactly what she can do. So until we see that and see like if she's actually like a big fucking deal, like I don't see them trying to fight Salem for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and honestly, like if she gets a hold of like relics and stuff, she's probably like slowly growing her power and holding back.
Mhm.
And oh wait, hold on. Brandon Dodge says, "I really hope Cinder breaks away from Salem and forms her own faction with." Okay, she seems like her own boss. Okay, I thought he was talking about Salem being her own boss and not like there's a bigger bad behind her. I was like, well, no, she could be her own boss, but like worship a god, like how Thanos worships the Lady of Death, pretty much, and that's why Thanos does what Thanos does, is to win the affection of death. So it's weird if you think about it. Thanos is just a thirsty f boy who's trying to get attention, and goes all the lengths to get it. So
Yeah.
uh, I'm sorry that this episode's been like brought up with so many different references to explain stuff.
Um
Okay.
I was gonna say something in response to a comment, but I don't remember what the heck I was gonna say.
Okay. Yeah. Um. Yeah. There's just. I just want to see volume. I mean, chapter 11. I was not gonna say volume 11. I mix up stuff so much today. I'm tired. It's the holiday season, so I'm just busy. Yeah, you finished finals and went to the dentist in like a 24-hour period. So
Yeah.
like I can't blame you. I have like no reason to be tired other than just life stress. But uh I don't know. Chapter 11, I expect the ambush, but I also want like some sort of talk about Silver Eyes to happen before then.
Okay, I want Silver Eyes or John Semblance.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how long they're gonna keep teasing his semblance because, you know, the heads of Kruby have said we've seen his semblance before, and everyone's just like, what is it? And I think it might be like encouragement or leadership is the semblance. It's one of those two. Because if Ren's semblance could like be to camouflage people's emotions so they can't be sensed by Grim, I could definitely see a semblance being able to ignite or light up emotion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if someone was more scared, then he could make them feel more brave, or if he gives out a command, they feel confident that they could do that. So that's just kind of my prediction because it's not something big or flashy like Yang's or Ruby's.
Yeah. I just hope they don't drag on the teasing forever because at that point it's just gonna get old and everyone's gonna be like, okay, we don't care anymore. Like,
yeah, like John's like, hey guys, I figured out my semblance is this, and the Phantom's like, yeah, whatever. Like, I do think there is a possibility that Ruby Silver Eyes do not get mentioned before the ambush, but during the combat of the ambush, Cinder brings up the Silver Eyes again, and then that later brings up like a conversation about it, or Salem, maybe even Cinder is like the one that tells Ruby what the Silver Eyes are, or maybe even Watts, since Watts has said they've dealt with them before or something like that.
they're like, Ruby, we can teach you. Come to our side.
Come to the Salem side. We got cookies. It's like, cookies? I'll consider it. You know? Like, she's just like shoving her face with cookies. She's like, I'm sorry, Crow, they got cookies. Like,
Okay, wait. People are all saying like something major is gonna happen in chapter 11. Like, did they tease something? Because I don't remember anyone being like, guys, get ready for chapter 11."
In Ruby Rewind, they said something big is gonna happen, but I also believe they said that about chapters 9 and 10 as well in Ruby Rewind. I think Ruby Rewind's job is just to like hype up the next episode. Yeah. And how else do you do that other than the next episode is really important? You can't skip over the next episode, you know? So I do think these next 4 episodes are gonna be more filled with like stuff, like fighting, but then also like quickly speeding up the plot and ending it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And honestly, like at this point, I'm sad it's kind of a week off, but like I'm glad for Kirby they get a week off. But it's like, I want to see what happens.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, like, with it being Christmas season, it's like, guys, like, last year an episode came out on Christmas Eve, didn't it? Like, I remember there was an episode that came out on Christmas Eve.
Really? I don't know.
Hold on. I am opening a new window on Google Chrome. Ruby episode that came out on December 24th. List of Ruby episodes. Okay. I'm gonna go to the wiki.
Love the wiki.
Okay, so I think volume. Okay, yeah, it was volume 4. Must have been volume 4. Yeah, Punished, chapter 7 of volume 4 came out December 24th.
Really?
Gosh, oh
That's
man.
Crazy.
Mercy.
I do not remember that.
And then a much needed talk was the week after that. So that was like, oh my gosh, was that the Tyrion versus Crow fight? Or was that Tipping Point?
Because the much needed talk was Crow and them around the fire.
Yeah, when he was injured. So
I think so.
So I think Tipping Point was when he was like, "Hey, kid." No, he just said, "Hey." He's like, "Hey," and then the episode ended. And then Punished was the fight between him, and then a much needed talk was them around the fire. So, oh my gosh, Merry Christmas to us last year. That's insane. Okay, so I'm looking at like chapters 10 and 11 both came out before and after my birthday. Like barely skipping over my birthday. And I'm really hoping an episode just comes out on my birthday. So,
when's your birthday? Like, I don't even know.
It is January 24th. So,
interesting.
Who is messaging me on Discord? Because I'm pretty sure everyone can hear that. Like, everyone watched this stream. It's like, no, please. I bet I know who it is, but I'm not going to look at it. Hold on, I'm going to look up January 2018. I just want to see. Because if it lands on a Saturday... No, it's a Wednesday? Come on, that's like... Oh, okay. Fine. I was born on a Wednesday, so I guess it's alright, but... Whatever. No Ruby episode on my birthday. Maybe 2019. I can't say next year, because that was next year we were looking at, but...
Yeah. Oh my gosh, 2017 is almost over.
Yep. But, you know, on the bright end, we're ending it with a yang. Because we're having...
come on, man. You know, I'm gonna beat you with this.
It's like the day before New Year's Eve, we have the new Ruby episode. So we're ending it right.
That's pretty cool. Right. Okay, I'll excuse your pun, I guess.
Oh, okay. So you know the meme where everyone's like, if you start this at this time, then right at midnight. We need a Ruby one of that. Like, maybe for like, this will be the day or something. And it's like getting, like, have it be like when it just like really hits in and it's like, this will be the day we waited for, or maybe like the get ready for a revolution, like that could happen right at it.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. This is everyone's homework. Go find Ruby versions of that meme.
Yeah. Find Ruby versions of that meme. like, hey, if you play Boop, if you start at this time, then right at midnight, it'll be like Boop. You know, I don't know. I can't do that note very well.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Oh, and I've tried.
Yeah, and Brandon Dodge, I don't expect the soundtrack to hit till summertime.
Yeah.
Well, the physical copy to hit summertime. I think the digital version will hit around April or March. But I'm gonna stick with April.
Hopefully, yeah.
Because I think the Volume 4 soundtrack came out on iTunes in April this year. Like, it was...
Wasn't it like
fast.
a little delayed because there was like miscommunication or something?
I think there was miscommunication, but I don't think that delayed it. So I think
I don't remember.
if you want the physical, you're gonna have to wait till summer. But if you want it on digital, then it'll be a few months earlier. I remember like RTX 2016. I waited to get the Volume 3 soundtrack till RTX because I wanted to just go to RTX and buy the physical copy of it, but I didn't know the physical copy was not released yet. So I went walking around the RT store booth like, where's the Volume 3 soundtrack? It's out on iTunes. Where's the CD? And then I like looked it up and it was like not coming out till later. And so then I just immediately bought it on iTunes later that night. It was like in between days 1 and 2 of RTX. I was like, fine, I'll buy it on iTunes. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, RTX is in August. Oh boy.
Ooh. I mean,
Dude,
I don't
honestly,
go to school, but.
Yeah.
That's
like,
gonna be
okay,
close for
if
people.
I'm trying to get like research in Japan over the summer, so like there are chances I won't make RTX and I'm gonna be emo if I can't go to RTX.
What?
Yeah.
Because you have to go to university at that time?
Well, okay, if
Or-
everything works out fine, I'll be in Japan doing research.
Okay.
That's,
Okay, I don't think you're gonna be
that's my
missing
goal.
too much if you're in Japan. Like,
Okay,
gosh,
man.
take me with
Well,
you. I want to go to
It's
Japan.
RTX though.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm going yet. I hope I
Yeah.
will, but
You know, I was literally sitting earlier today waiting for like my appointment, and I was talking to the front desk lady about Japan and like visiting Japan because she apparently has family that lives there, and we were just talking about it. I'm like, yeah, I want to see Kyoto, and she's like, okay, if you go to Kyoto, you got to see this, this, and this. So it's interesting that you bring it up today. It's just
there's someone I know in Kyoto right now, and I'm just so jealous.
Yeah.
We have gone off the rails.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about the Ruby Japanese dub.
I don't know
Maybe.
anything about that.
Me neither. It's on Crunchyroll. If you guys want to watch Ruby in Japanese, go to crunchyroll.com. And
Oh wait, is the Volume 3 dub out yet? Because I'll watch that.
ooh, actually, I think they just started the Volume 3 dub.
Ooh.
I remember. Hold on, I'm in Crunchyroll right now. Ruby. Okay, volumes 1 through 3, the beginning. Oh, they are in Volume 3.
Which episode?
Okay, well here's the problem. they mushed episodes together.
Interesting.
It looks like so like episode 5, and they're all untitled too. So it's like, okay, episode 5 says like Team Ruby's investigation turns violent when they find themselves under attack from Torchwick in a stolen robot. And it's like, wait, that's episode 5? So they're already in volume 2 by 5th episode, but it seems like okay, so by episode 8 of the dub, that's the end of volume 2. Wait.
So they like mushed. Okay, I'm sure
Yeah.
they like meshed some episodes together if they were like really short.
Yeah,
like, in Volume 1.
Well, it seems like volume 1 is just 3 episodes.
Mm.
And then volume 4 through like 7 or even 8 is like volume 2. And then episodes 9 through 13 are volume 3. But
Okay.
volume 3 is finished because the thumbnail for episode 13 is Torchwick like 3 seconds before he's eaten by a Grim. So yeah, volume 3 is Japanese dubbed now.
Okay, dude. Because I'll go back and watch all the like terrible parts of that. I want to see that in Japanese.
Yeah. Wait, Hunters D is saying so is Volume 4. Um, the Japanese is out on the RT store and is expensive. Yeah, that's because that's actually stuff from Japan. You're actually importing it from Japan and it's selling from the Japanese collector's price. Because in Japan, people love to collect stuff. I mean, people here in America do too, but because of that, the price is way up there so they can make money off of it. So,
Ooh, if I go to Japan, I'm gonna get a lot of Japanese Ruby stuff.
there is a lot of stuff. Like, what's her name? Andrea from the animation team. She was just in
Yeah,
Japan
she just went. Oh my.
and she kept taking pictures of all this Ruby stuff she found in Japan. And like even Jeff and his daughter Millie were taking pictures of Ruby stuff in Japan. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to go to Japan and freak out about Ruby there, and also just like anime in Japan in general. But like, yeah, it's gonna be amazing. And so I'm actually kind of running out of time now because I have a family dinner that's starting earlier than it should have, and I have to
Oh.
drive to the town next to mine for that. But
Okay.
guys, I'm sorry we went a little off track. We were staying somewhat related to Rooster Teeth and Ruby stuff, even though it wasn't chapter 10 oriented. We did try to get back. Thunderstorm, I am so sorry. We're signing off. You missed quite a bit, but hey, if you guys are watching this as a recording, go ahead and share it with your friends. Or hey, if you're watching it live, share it with your friends.
And if you
Subscribe.
missed part of the live stream, it comes back as a video.
Yeah,
You can watch it.
yeah. You might actually be able to rewind and watch it right now. I'm not sure. I don't watch live streams that much on YouTube. But anyway,
Yeah.
guys, thank you so much. Subscribe to Sunny or subscribe to me or just share this around with Ruby friends. Bye. Oh yeah,
Bye.
and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Hope you get good Ruby stuff. Yeah. Okay. Bye.